You don't know how sweet I am. You don't know how sweet I am. I am what I am, and I am sweet. You don't know how sweet I am.
Yo, check this. I might not be what you want me to be, so you might not see what you want to see. But if you got a minute, listen to what I gotta say. Cause it's a brand new year, and it's a brand new day. See, there's a gap between my culture and the life that I lead. So some will call me an apple, and some a bad seed. They have no idea how my heart will bleed. Their words and attitudes are things I just don't need.
You don't know how sweet I am. I am what I am, and I am sweet.
You see, I'm proud of who I am, and I'm proud of where I'm from. Those ones spreading racism, they're just fucking dumb. Now if you're looking at my life, and you say I've assimilated, to simplify things, just a little more complicated. See, I'm a modern day native, with a modern day life. I have modern day problems, and modern day strife. Now I hear other natives, they talk about the past, and will I do the same? Well, fuck that. See, I've got no time to dwell on what's already done. I've got too many things that I want to do, and they don't include knives, and they don't include guns. I'm talking about knowledge and sharing it too. See, my people need to learn how to cohabitate, get rid of the anger, and get rid of the hate. We gotta stop for a minute and learn to educate, and you'll see in the end, we all have to communicate. I know there'll be a time to make a stand and a time to fight, but if you do that, make sure the cause is right. Because if the cause is right and the cause is just, greater numbers of people will be backing you up. History has repeatedly shown to us all that united we stand and divided we fall. They were talking about natives and natives alone, because this is a big world and this world is our home. Now I've seen some beautiful people and ugly ones too, and there's no single color that comes into view. So the message I'm sending, it's not all that long. It's just, I want the human race to be stronger than strong. I said I just want the human race to be stronger than strong.
We all have to be strong.
Done it. Word.
We all have to be strong. Peace.
This is a message for you.
Yeah, that's right. We're saying this is a message out to you. Because we hearing what y'all listen to. And if y'all do what you do, because you do what you hear, and this is for you. So perk up your ear.
That's right, perk them up. Because this is straight out to you, the you.
Yeah, to the you. This is straight up knowledge. The kind of shit you won't get in no college.
To the you.
To the you.
Now, you can check out this native MC, trusted and true. This is native hip hop with a new attitude. Y'all might have noticed I'm a little bit older, but my attitude is a whole lot bolder. I keep my eyes over my shoulder for the younger MCs around that corner. Now y'all think you're gonna replace me? Ha! Come on up here and face me. And if you think that I am crazy, you haven't seen the half of me. So go ahead and try to stress me. But if you just talk about the way my woman dresses me, then you haven't got a clue on how to mess with me. That's why your shake-ass rhymes ain't impressing me.
Yeah. That's right. So I hope y'all youth are still listening. My homeboy, he's still whistling.
No, I'm tired of young MCs talking about chicken shacks, when in your rhymes is truth that you lack. I don't need to talk about the women who rub my skin, trying to get inside my pig pen. But if those be the girls that you like, you're gonna end up getting your blood spiked. So you better stop before you show your love. You better double up on your Pinot glove. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Because when it's raining outside, you take an umbrella. So before you pump her, you better wrap your thumper.
That's right. Straight up common sense. That's what I'm talking about. But for those of you who want to talk about violence, I know you just want to break up the silence. I can talk about my AK-47. I can put a bullet in your head and send you to heaven. But if that's the way I start to yell, then my body's going straight to hell. Besides, I don't want to be like Michael Harris, pretending I'm oh so fearless. As long as the trigger's in someone else's hand, is he really what you want to call a man?
I don't think so.
Not a chance.
A man. Michael Harris? Now that's a capital J-O-K-E joke.
Now you want to talk about smoking an 8-ball. I'm going to tell you about a man who had a great fall. He spent all night snorting up some snotty. Then he looked to the sky and said, "Beam me up, Scotty." He got so high up inside his head, couldn't even make it to his bed. So when his heart failed and he had died, who do you think sat down and cried? Hot damn, not a goddamn soul. Druggies took his dope and dropped him in a hole.
Now that is stone cold.
That's right, concrete cold. And you think it's impressive to swing back a 2-4 or a 60-pounder. After that, brother, you're just gonna fuck like a grounder. I know, cause I've been down with drugs, I've been down with booze. And if you go that way, you do nothing but lose. I ain't trying to be no preacher, but I am learning how to be a teacher. So I'll teach you things to make you wise. I'll tell you things to open your eyes. I don't need to tell you any lies, cause there's enough of that shit under our skies. See, my message comes from a different recipe. It starts with the teachings the elders taught to me. They said, look at all the people from sea to sea. But beware, brother, cause some will disagree. That peace has got to involve all the nations. That life is where we start communications. They don't understand every radio has many stations. Just like our planet has many creations.
Yeah, that's right. I'm saying this is a message up to you. Cause we hearing what y'all listen to. And if y'all do what you do, cause you do what you hear. And this is for you. So perk up your ears.
That's right, perk them up. This is straight up to you, the you.
Yeah, to the you. This is straight up knowledge. The kind of shit you won't get in no college.
To the you.
To the you.
Cause I'm telling you like it is. But now you want to try and change my flow.
You want to try and change the flow.
You want to try and change my flow.
You want to try and change the flow.
You want to try and change my flow.
Well, here's something that you better know.
Everything that I write,
It's got to do with every man's fight.
it's got to do with every man's plight.
It's got to do with breaking that stereotype.
And if peace is not your hype, I'll have to lyrically crush your type.
Break you down. Break you down.
This is a message for the youth, because we hear what you listen to.
Done it.
Word.
Sigoli swagwag, Galahindi neo gets, wagi sli wagi, ni wakitaloda, oni dag, ngwe wenege, ani bojo, danse, okinapi, how, yanko, yoko donlas. Hopefully you can all hear me. I just introduced myself in my original language. So I said, hello everyone, Galahindi is my name. It translates to clouds passing over in the colonial language. I'm a member of the people of the Standing Stone First Nations here on Turtle Island, and I'm on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Delaware, and Huron nations. And I am Bear Clan, and I think it said this, I'm a member of the people of the Standing Stone First Nations. We're on the northern part of Turtle Island, that's the part that's been segregated and relabeled Canada. And within confines of that, I'm in an area called Southwestern Ontario, or the area that we call the Dish with One Spoon Covenant Treaty Territory. That's a treaty that predates the arrival of settlers and still gets recognized by the indigenous peoples of this area today. So it's got to be one of the longest running treaties that's actually adhered to. That's who I am. And today, we got kind of two things going on today. This first meeting that we're going to jump into. I've already signed into our Zoom, and so I should be seeing that pop up when they get started here. But I put a little blurb in there if you didn't see it. We're going to be joining a discussion by Cody Coyote, who's a former hip hop artist. Well, he's still a hip hop artist, but he's doing some talks obviously now. Today he's going to be talking about his experiences and his survival, um, if you will, of residential schools. Um, or the particular time period in which he was affected is what they call the 60s scoop. But so what it was um, an enhanced and increased uh, effort to get a hold of indigenous children and force them into residential schools. It looks like we may be getting started here.
Give everyone a second to connect.
Recording in progress.
All right, David, I think we can get started.
Okay, sounds fantastic. Apologize here. Kashnawep ish kakwa ani bujo bendige. Hello, wache, buongiorno, tanse. Greetings and welcome, everybody. My name is David Wolfman. I'm the director here at the Indigenous Initiatives Department at George Brown College. I'll be your co-host for today. I want to thank you for joining us for our Indigenous Knowledge Keeper series. Now, we're so excited to welcome you to our George Brown community. As part of our monthly Indigenous Knowledge Keeper series, we'd like to welcome Cody Coyote to George Brown College to explore his Healing Through Art workshop. Our IKKS is comprised of members from both inside the college and outside, and from our community who hold expertise in a vast landscape of topics and who are at all stages of life learning. This is open to the entire community to facilitate a deeper understanding of the Indigenous world views, cultures, spiritualities, philosophies, and the ways of knowing and being. So today we welcome Cody Coyote, who will be sharing his story and knowledge with us.
Perfect. Thank you, David, for that introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Victoria, and I'm the Operations Coordinator with Indigenous Initiatives, and it's my pleasure to share with you all a land acknowledgement before we get started. A land acknowledgement is both an attestation of sovereignty for Indigenous peoples and a call to become more connected to place. As a non-Indigenous person who has lived on and shared in the benefits of Turtle Island, I recognize the importance of respect, reciprocity, and the responsibility that both I and George Brown College share in actively moving forward in the spirit of partnership, collaboration, and reconciliation as we learn and lead our lives on this land. On behalf of Indigenous Initiatives and George Brown College, I would like to acknowledge that our campus is located on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and other Indigenous nations who have lived here since time immemorial. This land has been and is shared by the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many First Nation, Inuit, and Métis peoples. Takaranto, a Mohawk word, meaning a place in the water where the trees are standing. This city is covered by Treaty 13, the Williams Treaties, and is subject to the Dish with One Spoon Covenant. We are grateful to share this land as treaty partners who learn, work, and live in this community that we all call home.
Thank you, Victoria, for that land acknowledgement. Ani, everybody. My name is Cassandra, and I'm the Indigenous Student Support Specialist here at Indigenous Initiatives. initiatives. Today, we have the warmth of welcoming Cody Coyote. Ottawa's Cody Coyote is Ojibwe and Irish descent with ancestry from Matachewan First Nation. With this fusion of strong, profound lyricism accompanied by corresponding influential sounds, such as his song Dibwe, this multi-award nominated and award-winning hip-hop, electronic, and pop artist commands his listeners' attention by delivering mesmerizing performances. Outside of his music, Cody Coyote is also a motivational speaker, workshop facilitator, and the host of The Beat on Element FM, owned and operated by First Peoples Radios Incorporated, located in Ottawa and Toronto. And with that, Cody, I will pass it along to you.
Testing 1, 2, miigwech. Can everybody hear me okay? Can I get a thumbs up? All right, we're good. Awesome. Okay, and I see a lot of people are kind of like just hiding behind their name type thing. I'm not gonna like, make it a mandatory thing, but I encourage you to turn your camera on if you feel comfortable, because I like to see lovely faces on the screen here to my right. Awesome. There we go. Hey, everybody. You're going to see that I'm looking this way. It doesn't mean I'm ignoring you. I'm literally looking right at your faces because I have my laptop over here. Otherwise, I'm going to be facing my camera, which is right in front of me. Can everybody see me okay? Right? We're good? Cool. So, Anin Bojo Kinawia, Cody Nindishnakas, Asanio De Nin, Anishinaabe, King Nindonji, Ojibwe, Nishinaabe Nindao, Irish Nindao, Madajwan Nindonjaba, Makwa Dodem. I was just saying hello and welcome everybody. My name's Cody. I was born and raised here where I'm broadcasting you live from, which is unceded, unsurrendered Algonquin territory, so-called Ottawa. And I'm Ojibwe on my father's side of the family from Matachewan First Nation and Irish on my mom's side, and I'm Bear Clan. Nido Gitchi Mishomis, Ogema Michelle Baptiste Twainba. My ancestor's name was Chief Michel Baptiste Twain. He was the first recognized chief of my home community of Matachewan and also a signatory of the James Bay Treaty. Now, that's a proper protocol and proper introduction where I'm from, friends. You know where I'm from, you know who I am, you know my clan. And I'm just going to get into things, okay? But before we do, I just want to advise for everybody that's here. I probably don't have to say this, but I'm going to say it for the sake of saying it. I have zero tolerance for bullying, sexism, racism, homophobia, and transphobia. If I see anything like that happening today in the chat, then I am going to ask the organizers to ensure that you leave. Okay, that's just part of my ground rules going into a presentation and creating a safe space for each of us to feel welcome in. Okay, so going off of that, I want to talk a little bit about my experiences and how I found healing through art. This is going to be the topic for the day. And towards the end of the presentation, if you have any questions, maybe write them down if it comes to mind, and then we can get to it afterwards. We're going to probably have 15 minutes to chop it up with each other. Okay. So friends, if you have your camera on, awesome. If you want to use the chat, that works too. Okay. But, I want to know if you want to put your hand up, if you want to put a comment in the chat, how many of you grew up knowing your grandparents? I'm going to go look at the chat right now and look at the screen. Okay. How many of you grew up knowing your grandparents? And if you have your hand up, keep your hand up, please. All right. So we have one no. All right. Few hands up. Okay. So how many people grew up knowing their grandparents? Okay. Yes, but mostly maternal side. Okay. No. All right. Thank you for that. Okay. And how many of you grew up knowing your uncles and aunties? Show of hands and in the chat. Okay. Okay, so quite a few people have their hands up for uncles and aunties. Really? Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you, friends. Here's my favorite one. Okay. Get ready for it. It's coming. How many of you grew up knowing your cousins? Anin, cuz. Hey, cuz. What up, cuz? How many of you knew your cousins? All right. Your cousins. Okay. Lots of yeses, but I'm also going to hold space right now, right? And saying that there's quite a few no's in there. All right. Thank you, friends. Notice that my hand wasn't up for any of that too. All right. Now I am going to advise a trigger warning because we are going to talk a little bit about the 60 scoop and the residential school system. Okay. So, for our organizers that are here, if people need that extra support, I am going to be vocal and saying, like, let's please offer it to them if needed. The reason that I'm asking these questions to start things off, friends, is because I didn't grow up knowing my grandparents. I didn't grow up knowing my uncle or my aunties or my cousins on my dad's side of the family. And it's because my father was a part of the 60 scoop. All right. I feel that a lot of us have an idea of what the 60 scoop was, but in the case that maybe not everybody here knows, okay, if you know what the 60 scoop is, just say yes in the chat. All right. Please and thank you. Or put your hand up if you know what it is. And thank you for putting those links in there, the crisis line, right? Okay, so quite a few people. Thank you. And I would assume that if you know about the 60 scoop, then you've probably learned about the residential school system. Okay. Now, I can already tell we already have some Indigenous relations here, so shout out, big up. Okay. I'm just sharing my story right now. And I want us to come to a place of normalizing this. The more that we share, the more that we heal together. And for me, my dad was a part of the 60 scoop. He was taken from our family when he was just 6 months old. And I grew up not having this sense of cultural identity. I didn't speak Anishinaabe-Moan. I didn't know my clan. I didn't know my family. I didn't know where I was from. But I knew that I was Indigenous. I grew up with status, right? And I feel that my father like prepared us and told us certain things along the way when we were ready for it, when we were old enough per se. One thing that I had growing up was long hair. Okay. Long and strong. Right. It was one thing that made me feel so proud. Right. Feeling so proud. And knowing that my grandmother went to residential school, she went to the Spanish Indian residential schools in Spanish Ontario. Like the first thing that they took away from children when they went into those schools, those institutions, is their hair, right? And I knew that growing up, like having my hair long, like it was this sense of pride, but it was also this sense of strength for myself. And I think it's important to share that in my school, in my high school, I was one of 6 Indigenous kids. It was the reality that I faced every day that I went in there. And I also went to Catholic school. Okay. I'm 31 now. I don't practice that. I don't practice the faith, to each their own. All right. I've been reclaiming, I've been going back to ceremony. And, during my time in high school, friends, and from my understanding, we have a bit of an older audience here, so I'm not going to hold back on things. When I'm talking to youth, I leave out certain details, but y'all are going to get the real stuff right now. Okay. Going into high school, be minding my own business, be walking down the hall, saying hi to my friends. Hey, what's up? Give them props. And then I'd feel my head fly back. Right. And I remember the first day that it happened because I turned around and I didn't see anybody there. Right. Anybody here ever had their hair pulled before? Show of hands in the chat. Okay. Few people. It's not the best feeling in the world, is it? Right. So somebody had came up, they attacked me, they assaulted me, they pulled on my hair. I turn around, they're not there. How do you think that made me feel? Gotta keep an eye on the chat. Again, I want this to be like we're hanging out with each other, okay? Not so much a presentation. All right, not great. 100% violated, definitely. Right? Not good. All great examples. It also made me feel afraid, made me feel fearful. And for the rest of the day, I'm looking over my shoulder. I'm kind of like uneasy. Like I don't feel safe at school right now. Someone just pulled my hair. Okay. Had to continue that day. Let's fast forward a little bit to a separate day. Separate day, walking down the hall. Feel my head fly back. This time, I turn around and there's about 5 non-Indigenous boys who are pointing at me, who are laughing at me, who are telling me to cut my hair, who are calling me ugly, and doing some really not nice things in that moment. These are the people that were pulling my hair. Okay. And I was just like, okay, like you just take it, right? When there's 5 people coming at you like that. And I remember, feeling so upset that later on I would make up excuses. We've all done it at one place in time where we fake sick, where we skip school, right? So for me, I was skipping school, and at this point, like I was using drugs and alcohol as a coping mechanism of like dealing with the bullying and the humiliation that I was facing, right? So I would often skip. I would often have a party of one in my room at home. And the big part was like just like faking sick, you know, not being truthful with my parents on why I didn't want to go to school, right? I had to go back eventually because that only goes on for so long, right? And here I am on a separate day. Okay. It's finished saying hi to my friends, still like uneasy being at school. I don't really want to be there. Okay. And I'm at my locker. I'm putting my stuff away. And I look over, and there's a group of girls. Right? There's a group of girls. They're all kind of giggling, right? They're giggling to themselves. And I'm just like kind of looking around. I'm like, geez, like they're laughing pretty hard. Must have been a really good joke. Must have been a really good joke. And I'm trying to like kind of listen in, but putting my stuff away, trying to figure out, what the joke was. And then I go to put my hair up in a ponytail, and then I noticed that I'm the joke, and they're laughing at me. I had a big wad of gum that was stuck in my hair, and it wasn't just like a single piece. This was premeditated. It was one of those like really really big ones where people put multiple pieces of gum together and then they throw it, right? And I started thinking like, hey, maybe it was these boys that did it, but I didn't know. But I had this big piece of gum stuck in my hair, and I'm standing there and I feel humiliated, right? These girls are laughing at me. They're kind of pointing, and I'm just feeling like embarrassed. And I'm at the point where I'm fighting with it. I'm fighting with it. I'm fighting with it. And the gum wouldn't come out of my hair. So, friends, what do you think I had to do in that moment? I'm going to look over to the chat for a response here. What do you think I had to do? There we go. Ding, ding, ding. Thank you. I had to cut my hair. So I'm standing at my locker. I have my hair. And I make this decision that I have to cut it. So I cut it. And slowly just like fell down and hit the ground. In my mind, like I'm watching this happen, and there's the gum, it's going down. And I'm feeling like really, really uncomfortable, you know. I'm feeling really uncomfortable with the fact that this is falling down. And it's like someone like came up to me, and they just took a piece of my spirit, right? They took something that was so important to me away from me, right? And for the rest of the day, I'm walking around with these short strands of hair on one side, long on the other, and trying to cover it up. And I felt absolutely ridiculous. It was humiliating. And I went back home, and you know, I felt so upset. Like, keeping in mind I'm at my locker, and this is an important part, friends, especially for my friends here that identify as men, right? My pronouns are he and him, so okay. I'm at my locker, and I'm crying, right? I'm trying to keep it in. I'm trying to suppress it. Like, like men are supposed to be tough, right? We don't cry. If you cry, you're weak, right? That's what society is trying to tell you. And at this place in time, like I'm feeling like I gotta keep it packed in. I gotta be tough, but I'm just weeping. I'm letting it out. And that thing, that toxic masculinity, like it was very real at that place in time for me, right? Where I felt like I couldn't talk about what I had going on. I couldn't talk about my emotions. I couldn't talk about my feelings. I couldn't be vulnerable, right? So I go home with this mentality of like I got to be tough. And the moment my mom, asked me how my day went, I just kind of looked in shock, seeing my hair that way. I broke down, right? I just broke down. And it all started to come out, all the waterworks. And I'm talking to my mom, right? I'm like, Mom, I'm like, why don't they like me? Why do they hate me? Why do they call me ugly? Why do they call me dirty? Why did this happen? Just trying to figure it all out. And I'm overwhelmed at this point. She tells me, you know what, Code? Why don't you go try and talk to your father about this? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go talk to my dad. I go over and I'm like, hey dad, like, and when something super bad happens to you and you just like you start spewing, I was just like, like all this stuff. Like this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened and look at my hair. And he just kind of like sat there and nodded and I took it all in, right? And he told me like, Code, I want you to try something here, right? I want you to try to go to your room and I want you to try to write down how you're feeling right now. And I'm just so worked up. I'm like, really? I'm trying to tell you how I'm feeling right now. Are you listening? And like, I got a little bit upset. All right. Even more so. But he gives me this thing to write with and a piece of paper. So I'm like, okay, I'm huffing and puffing. I walk upstairs and just, all right, super upset. I'm sitting there in my room and I'm like, geez, like, now I can't even talk to my parents about how I'm feeling. Right. Dad won't listen. He's telling me to write down how I'm feeling and blah, blah, blah. And I was having like a pity party for myself. Right. But then I came to a place of, I'm just going to try this, whatever. Let's give it a shot. Okay. You know what? I'm feeling pretty sad right now. I'm feeling sadness. I feel rage. I'm angry. I'm depressed. I don't feel like I want to be here anymore. And it became very real. I had this whole page that was just filled with words, friends. And I went back downstairs, stomping. Hey, this is how I'm feeling. Are you ready to listen? And my dad looked at me and he gave me two options. He said, Code, now you have a choice to make here, right? Option number one, you could release it. You can burn it. You can send it away and it's gone. You've released it. And option number two is you could do something with it. I usually ask people, what do you think I chose to do? But I think, given that I'm in the music stuff, this option was the option that I chose. Okay. So before we continue here, friends, y'all have been pretty cool so far. All right. Just saying, everyone's respectful. Everyone's microphones are off. Sometimes people leave their microphones on and it gets really noisy and you hear unwanted voices in your head and you're like, oh, where'd that come from? But since y'all have been keeping it cool with me, want to hear a song? Yeah, maybe thumbs up. All right, got a thumbs up. We got some comments. Okay. For any of my friends here that are using a Mac, all right, I have my song files in the cloud and I'm downloading them right now. Okay. But I would love to share this one song with you. Okay. This song here is called Bloodline. And We are working with the internet, so it's not going to be like it is in person. But you know what? We're going to work with it. Okay? We're going to work with it. Thank you so much, friends. And again, this song's called Bloodline. Y'all can hear it okay? Okay, cool. Check, 1 2 1 2. All I want to know is who I am. All I want to know is where I come from. All I want to know is who I am. All I want to know is where I come from. I was born in 92 inside of Palm View. A youngin' in this land trying to find his way through. Asking who I am, I tried to find roots. Everywhere I asked, I couldn't find truth. Pops told me what he could, but still we didn't know. Inner inspiration full, but still we had to hope. Frustration was the same, but still we didn't show. Intergenerational, but still we had to cope. Struggled with identity, didn't know my language. They told me I was different, relentless with my anguish. No one was a friend of me. They said I needed sanction, disobeyed the privilege. I came back in a vanquish. Still they call me savage. Still they call me Indian. The history of words that I feel is worth digging in. Cartier and Columbus were just a couple idiots. Tried to take our culture, what it means to be indigenous. All I want to know is who I am. All I want to know is where I come from. All I want to know is who I am. All I want to know is where I come from. Bloodline, I need my bloodline, bloodline. I need my bloodline. Bloodline, I need my bloodline. I need my bloodline. Searching through the north where I go to share my story. Was raised in the south outside my territory. Searching back and forth, nobody cares to worry as I try to figure out who I am with my fury. They've been scooping kids from the 60s to the present. I feel the disconnection that's lessened by oppression. This government has failed when they got in misdirection. Neglection to my questions leaves me thriving for direction. Making some connection, finding some relation. Spoke about my journey, had some conversations, learned about the scoop. They told me about these agents. They were stealing babies. It's all assimilation. This woman in the town, she said she held it down. When those agents came around, she hid them underground. Hid them in a basement, protected from the hatred. These children were escaping a governed desolation. All I want to know is who I am. All I want to know is where I come from. All I want to know is who I am. All I want to know is where I come from. Bloodline, I need my bloodline. I need my bloodline. I need my bloodline. I need my bloodline. All I want to know is who I am. All I want to know is where I come from. All I want to know is who I am. All I want to know is where I come from. Right on. Okay. Well, that was good. All right, got some head nods. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you, friends. Again, we're working with the internet, and that can be either in our favor or not, but I hope it was in our favor for that one. Thank you. So we're going to keep moving. Okay. Got this new tool. And I had to go back to school, right? So I'm in school, and normally when you're in school, you're supposed to be doing your work when you're in class, okay? But at this point in my life, I was that guy that was getting in a lot of trouble, all right? I was getting in fights. I was making some really, really bad decisions that I'm not proud of, all right? Had several run-ins with the law, was being charged with different things like assault, B&Es, like just not on a good path. Okay. But I'm sitting in class, and you're supposed to be doing your work when you're in class, right? I'm in class, I'm sitting down, and I had my headphones in. Follow me here, okay? And I'm listening to this wicked beat that I found on this ancient piece of technology known as LimeWire. Okay. Some of you may know what I'm talking about. Some of you may not know what I'm talking about, but LimeWire, okay, the hub for getting hip hop beats back in the day. All right. I'm sitting here and I'm writing this wicked piece, not doing my work. And guess what? It's my teacher. Oh, snap. Okay. I started folding that thing up and I look up. I'm like, hey, sir, how's it going? It's going good, Cody. Like, how are you doing? How are you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. What are you working on? Nothing, sir. Nothing. I got so shy, like real shy. Fold that up so quick. No, no. What were you working on? I was working on a rap. Can I see? Oh, it's not done yet. It's not done yet. It's not done yet. Okay, okay, okay. Then he tells me to get up. And I'm like, okay. All right. I got caught. I'm packing up my bag and everything, putting away my binder. And I'm thinking I'm going back to the principal's office because guess what? Cody had his own VIP seat out front of the principal's office. And it wasn't exactly because I'm a very indigenous person, but it's just because sometimes I couldn't focus in the classroom environment. Okay. And I had to go and be elsewhere. So yeah, I thought I was going there. And he just instead tells me like leave your stuff there. So I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Kind of on edge. Like, dude's telling me to get up and leave my stuff. Like, all right. He says, come with me. I'm like, okay. And we're walking to this room that I've never been in before. And I'm like immediately thinking in my head, is this guy gonna put me on a timeout? Is that where we're headed right now? Like, are we going to the timeout room in the high school? Like, what's good? So I'm on guard and just walking towards this, right? And he opens up the door. All right. Before I continue, how many people here have seen Disney's Aladdin? Please let me know in the comment. All right. Bear with me here. It's going to make sense. Okay, wonderful. Some people haven't, and I feel so bad. Like, we got to get them on this game. All right. We got to put them on some game and get them to see Disney's Aladdin. All right. That movie's lit. Okay. Thank you. All right. So he opens up the door, and in my head, oh, and I get to use my soundboard for this. I was like, a whole new way. I walked in there and saw some of the coolest things that I've ever seen in my life, friends. Okay. There was like this big soundboard. They had a drum kit. There's bass guitar, acoustic guitar, and my friends were in there. Okay. Just drumming and da, 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 da. Like I heard music walking into this room and I'm like, what is going on? I'm like processing all of this. Okay. And I interject. Like, I was just so excited. They're like probably in the middle of recording. And I'm like, yo, what are you guys doing in here? And they took a moment, they just took a break and they're like, well, sir told us that if we come in and we record a song and we film a video for it, we're gonna get marks. And I'm like, yo, what? Say less. Say less. So I started asking more about that. I'm like, can I come in here? And my teacher, his name's Mario Deller, shout out. All right, he's a good friend of mine now. I love him. Okay. He's like, yeah, you can come in here during class. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm thinking like, yo, we have a studio in our high school. I'm a strong advocate for this. I'm going to make it known. All right. We've made this come into action. Every school should have a studio space, okay, for our young people to have access to. And I even am going to extend that, to post-secondary. Okay. So continuing, I kept going in here during class. I went into this space after school and I even went there on the weekend one time. All right. Who went to school on the weekend? Cody did. Why? Because it was a space where I could be creative and it was also a safe space. I felt safe there, right? My bully-free zone. I didn't have to worry about bullies pulling up and pulling my hair or shoving me or trying to pick a fight, right? I could just go there and be creative. So this gift that my dad gave me, I was able to make it come into fruition and go and rap over some beats and experiment with things. This is where I found music, friends. Okay. And towards the end of high school, like I did cut my hair. All right. The bullies, they won that. They won that. Okay? Because it got real bad. Like, I wish I could just say it was all butterflies and rainbows after, finding the studio, but there was some hardship there. And as I had mentioned, drugs and alcohol became a coping mechanism. So even though I have this new gift, drinking and drugging became a regular thing for me too. Right. And, I continued to do that for quite some time. I want to continue a little bit further. All right. But I know we have like a little bit of time left. And I'm just gonna slightly touch on this. Okay. Moving into to things after high school. Okay, still trying to navigate, my place as a biracial indigenous person, not really finding belonging in certain places. Like I remember going to a culture night, I got bullied by the drum, I got bullied at a culture night, and that's a part of the story, right? I found belonging with other folks that were lost like me. And I got jumped into a gang, ended up doing a lot of things again that I'm not proud of. This is after high school. Okay. And that became a part of my story, right? Violence became something regular, right? And here I am, this angry guy, but I have this gift. I don't use this gift. I'd rather just be angry. I'd rather go use and take my anger out on other people. And that became a regular thing. All right. I'm very fortunate that I was able to get away from all that. And I'm not going to pay any more attention to it, but it is a part of my story. Okay. And I am going to be vocal in saying that a lot of young indigenous men, all right, from what I've witnessed, are still falling through the cracks because they don't feel supported. And there's this toxic masculinity aspect of it where they're getting this false idea of brotherhood, right? Oh, you're a warrior, you're a brother. Here, wear this, right? We'll take care of you. We got your back. We'll listen, and that sort of thing. I've been all over coast to coast to coast. Okay, friends. So it's very real. And this chapter, I was in it deep. I was in it deep. I was having some really selfish thoughts of not wanting to be here. And trigger warning, my friends. Okay. I had an attempt. All right. I had an attempt on my life, and I ended up going to the hospital. And again, this is the story that I tell the older audience, right? So I went to the hospital. Won't get into detail about it, but after my visit there, the police, they told me I was being charged with mischief under 5,000 because while I did my attempt, I also destroyed this piece of property, like smashed a bunch of windows that were near me and that kind of thing. And I ended up going through the normal probation stuff when I was younger, but they ended up allowing me to have space to go through this other one that was specifically for First Nations, Inuit, and Métis youth. And I was like, hey, let me try that. Let's see where that's gonna go. Right. So, here I am. I'm going through this program, and they're bringing me to powwow. They're bringing me to my first round dance. They had a healing circle for me. I sat in the middle. There was my parents, my caseworker, and a bunch of elders that were around me. And I just got to pour everything out. Told them everything. Told them things that I had suppressed for such a long time. Right? The struggles of not feeling like I belong, right? And the bullying and everything. I just got to finally let it out in a safe space. Again, coming back to that, a safe space where I felt respected, I felt trust. I felt, like I was welcomed in, right? And they brought me to my first sweat lodge. Okay. And this is where like a lot of things were switching. Growing up Catholic and all that, right? My family and I, we've denounced the faith. Don't want to have any part in it. To each their own. If people find peace in it, okay, good for you. But it's really not for me, not for my family. There's been a lot of harm there. Okay, direct harm towards me, right? My siblings, and then obviously, like I've mentioned, those that have come before us. Okay, so here I am, and I'm having this supportive circle, and I came back to writing. I came back to music after this, right? Going to Sweats, and we talked a lot about the hard stuff. Okay, not getting into the detail of it all, but there was a lot of chaos. Chaos became my normal, right? Chaos became my normal. I was in a trap house, geez, like freaking 5 nights of the week, right? And finding my lane with music, it made me realize like I want something better for myself. I want something more. There's more to life than this, right? Than violence, than chaos. And I ended up, getting back into the studio. I ended up working at a job, working at several jobs. I worked in construction. I worked in retail. Anything that could make me, you know, make this music thing happen. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was like, hey, like, I kind of got a hint of it back in high school, but now I want to keep coming back to it. And we talked about the hurt, we talked about the bad. Okay. Part of the good, friends, moving into the good. As I mentioned, I'm 31 and I don't wear this like a badge of honor or anything like that. But I do have 11 years of sobriety under my belt. Okay. And I'm happy that I made a conscious decision of being like, you know what, enough's enough when I did. Because fact of the matter is, a lot of the people I was hanging out with, they're either dead or in jail. And that was the expectation that I had in high school. And that was the expectation for me after high school, challenging that. And it was mostly non-Indigenous people that were telling me that. Okay. Coming into this space of sobriety and walking the red road and reclaiming, I'm in no way like a fluent speaker of Anishinaabe-Moan. I'm in no way somebody who knows everything, the ins and the outs of ceremony, but I'm just wanting to learn, right? I'm wanting to learn and I want to challenge things like lateral violence and bullying. I had hope, right? Because out of those 5 bullies, 3 of them, made an apology. One of them made a very sincere one, and I believed him. Okay. And that left me feeling hopeful. But coming from over here where all the chaos was and the journey, there was a lot of things that happened along the way, and even different challenges, coming into being an adult. And my mom passed away too, 2018, and learning to live with that, right? That hurt. This art, this music, it's more than just what meets the eye. Like this is medicine. This is a gift, right? And I wanna open it up, for you to think about this for a moment. What are some gifts that you have? Right? Doing some self-reflection today. What are some gifts that you have? Focus on those gifts when you're going through hardship, friends. Okay? Because that's where the healing can take place. All right? I know we have a little bit of time left here, and I do want to have time for a Q&A if people have any questions, but I also want to share another song with you if that's okay. I was speaking a lot from the heart space today, friends. And I know when that happens, sometimes it's kind of hard to meet like a time quota type thing. So maybe, if it's okay with our organizers, maybe I do one more song and then maybe we have time for a Q&A if that's okay with everybody. Okay. So this song, I encourage you to go watch the music video for it on my YouTube. You type in Manado Dewagan. I can even put a link afterwards, and it means spirit drum. Okay, that's my story in a nutshell in a music video. This song is about reclaiming. This song is about, walking in a different direction. Okay, despite the hardship that's happened in the past, and saying, you know what, this trauma, this intergenerational trauma, this this chaos, this violence, all this stuff, this is not going to have power over me anymore. All right. I want to heal. I want to live happy. I want to have joy. All right. And being someone that's had the absolute privilege of going into Indigenous communities all across Turtle Island, friends, this is outside the presentation. I'm just saying it from heart space. Like that is one thing. All right. when I think about resilience, when I think about like power and healing and moving forward, it's the fact that we're laughing. There's joy in our communities. There's happiness in our communities, right? Colonization, genocide didn't work. We're still here. Okay. This is where this song comes from. And Miigwech, thank you again, friends. Right. Volume's okay. Yeah. Thank you. Rise up with the sun. Feel free when I run. Heartbeat like the drum. Still see where I'm from. Move calm. Gigi Bizo. Dawe Igan. On to see spirit asleep, but now it's awake. Here when it speaks grows harder to take. Hair like the tree, sweet grass with a braid. Connection so deep grows harder to break. Dancing with pride, healing inside. The soil beneath, revealing my time. Chanting alive, the drum is my guide. The language I speak will revitalize. Man, it's that way God. 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 Find us, we're the ones who feel for the young. Heartbeat like the drum. When we breathe with our lungs. Nanda will bomb. Oshke Iwan. Dawe Igan. Madanamo. Spirit has reached a point that it makes others come near with the love it creates. Stare at the sea, then gaze at the waves, reminded of life, and we won't let it fade. Dancing with pride, healing inside, the water beneath, revealing my time, chanting alive. The drum is my guide, the language I speak will revitalize. And it's that way, God. Man, it's that way God. Man, it's that way God. Man, it's that way God. Now, normally, if I'm doing this live in front of people, it's a little bit of a crowd engagement part. Okay. So in the chat right now, I want you to think about the gift that you have. What is one gift that you have? Let me see it in the chat right now, friends. Let's go. Benito, that way God. Benito, that way God. Benito, that way God. Benito, that way God. That way God. Awesome stuff in the comments there too, friends. You know, and Miigwech, thank you for listening. Thank you for allowing me to come share my story, for holding space today. And I think that's going to wrap things up a little bit here. But if I could finish with some closing words, I'm gonna pass some stuff on that my dad's told me along the way. And I don't know who needs to hear it today, but I'm gonna share it with you. You are good enough, you are worthy, you are loved, and you are capable. Okay? Never forget that, never lose sight of that, and knowing that that healing is possible, right? Use those gifts that you've put in the chat right now. And if you're looking for a new gift, you have a whole bunch of examples right here. Okay? Turn to your gifts. Healing's possible. We're going to do it together. Mamawe, Wichi, Tata. All together, we support one another. Miigwech. Thank you. And I'm going to hop over here. Somebody else wants to take the mic. I don't know. I'm going to switch on over here.
Cody, thank you so much for sharing your stories with us and your experiences. It's been truly, I think, a visceral experience for all of us here to hear, what you've gone through and really pull hope from that as well. One thing that stood out for me hearing your story was seeing how people saw you, like your father, like your teacher. They saw that light, they saw those gifts. And so I know once you probably saw the studio, that's when the light turned on for you and kind of, opened the whole new world. I'm just thinking, when was the moment you really saw yourself and realized, you know what, I can do this. I'm so much more.
I think like early on in my recovery, right? Like we ended up getting in a bar fight, like because after my attempt and all that, like I'm pretty vulnerable and open about this stuff. And thank you for asking, right? Like I wish I could say like, hey, the attempt happened and then I quit after going to the sweat lodge and everything, but it was a battle, right? It was a battle, right? Drinking and drugging and people who I was hanging out with, and I ended up getting in this really big bar fight. And like even in the moment, right, I was there and I was looking around. There's glasses that are flying and all this kind of stuff, and I was just like, I don't want this anymore. I don't want this anymore. Like there is definitely more to life than this. And coming here, you know, and being labeled a barfly and you know that kind of thing. I took some time to reflect after that, and it came to a place of just coming back to being around community, healthy people in community, because let's not get it twisted, there are some pretty unhealthy people in indigenous community as well, right? Just like anywhere, there's lateral violence, and I'm thankful that I was able to find a circle of supportive people throughout the years, and they were also on the red road. And my friends, okay, my friends were those that were the ones that were taking the bottle away as opposed to giving me the bottle, right? And that's where something clicked. I was like, okay, there's got to be something different here. And then I ended up cutting some music, and 2017 came around and put out my first album and all these awards and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it just became a beautiful journey after that, when it came to a place of like looking at myself in the mirror and finally being like, you know what, I love this guy. I'm going to continue loving this guy, right? I'm going to work on the self-care aspect and not believe the negative stuff that people are saying and that kind of thing, right? So yeah,
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to open the comments up to anybody else. If anyone has any questions or thoughts they want to share, you can drop in the chat or raise your hand. I think Lish may have her hand raised. If you want to unmute, Lish, you're more than welcome.
Hi, I'm Lish. I use they, them pronouns. I resonate so much with your story and so much overlap with my own, but what would one thing you would tell your younger self? If you could go back to little Cody in that recording room, what was one advice or one thing that you could tell yourself that you wish you would have known now?
Oh, Lish, thank you. And I appreciate their question, right? Like your question's awesome. I think it's something that like a lot of young men need to hear too. It's just like it's okay to be vulnerable, right? Like be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Because even now, like there's challenges that I'm facing, later on in my career, and it's still coming back to that conversation of talking to younger Cody, right? And I've been having that conversation with him since mom passed. Like be gentle with yourself. Be kind to yourself, right? Prioritize your self-care. And I think it would be a lot of things surrounding that, and eating right and that kind of thing. But just being gentle, because I've been fortunate enough to be a part of different men's gatherings, and men's circles and that kind of stuff. And a lot of these guys, and including myself, we've been there where we just beat ourselves up, right? Like there's like this expectation that Indigenous men need to be perfect, right? No, we mess up. That's what it is. We mess up early on in life. We mess up later on in life. But the important part is being accountable for behavior and learning from it, right? So I think it would really just come down to being gentle, and thank you for that, miigwech.
Awesome. Thanks, Cody. Another question we have is, what is currently inspiring your music now?
Jeez. Oh, I have a new project that I'm working on right now, friends, and y'all are getting like an exclusive plug here. I'm going through the trenches of all this stuff. I'm going through, right? Like I've been, I'm transparent in this. I think this is like such a good life hack and teach their own, but like I've been in psychotherapy for like 5 years, and really going into the depth of what makes Cody behave a certain way, what makes this happen and that happen, just trying to identify things, right? So a lot of the music that I'm working on is a reflection of that. It's really coming into that space of like, I felt like I was in a place of anguish before, and I wrote a song about it, right? I wrote about the experience of going to the hospital after my attempt and just putting it somewhere, right? So that's the important part. And thank you for that question, friend. Like for me, the selfish part is I put my experiences into the music, right? That's the selfish part. I need to release. But the crazy part about it is that somebody else, who could be like on the other side of the world has felt something parallel or similar to that. So what's that say? It says that we're going through certain challenges where we need to normalize being vulnerable and sharing with each other, but also supporting each other unconditionally, right? So thank you for that.
Yeah, I think especially too, one of the questions that we have next is what would you do or tell our kids and young people when they have to be in the world and not in community to help them stand in the strength that you have?
I would just say like be like unapologetically themselves, right? And this is something that like, I've talked to like my partner about, I've talked to my family about, my friends about, like, Jean Manado, like the Great Spirit, like the Great Spirit made each and every one of us in our own image, in our own distinct way for a reason, right? So if people are growing up outside of community, I've been there. I understand that experience. I understand it so much that going into community, you're kind of, you're treated so differently sometimes, right? Thankfully, like my community was very welcoming. Okay. And we have our own stuff that's happened there. But, like I've gone out west and like it's like it can be uncomfortable the way people treat you. And that's part of lateral violence, right? They grew up with the privilege of being fluent speakers. They grew up with the privilege of knowing the culture and having ceremony, right? They grew up with that. So for that divide that's happening within ourselves, like I would tell the kids that are, growing up outside and they're growing up in urban environments, just be you, hold that space for yourself. Just be you, right? If you want to learn, then learn, learn what you want to learn. There's no like expectation that, you need to hit all these check marks, right? In order to be a real Indigenous person, you have to dress this way. You have to speak this way. You have to act this way, like forget all that kind of stuff, right? I think that we need to hold space for people who don't have that accessibility, or that privilege of knowing everything like that, and supporting them in their own way. And yeah, I would just tell them too, like be gentle and be kind to yourself, right? Be gentle and be kind to yourself because this world can be vicious, and that's in and out of Indigenous community. Like I had, yeah, sorry, like when someone hits a heartstring, I go on like a bit of a, like a rant, but I'm gonna talk about this because like, like where where you're pushed off to the side, and you feel like you're not seen and that you don't matter. It can be a really hard journey, right? So I think it's like, especially for our young people, like we need to listen to them more, right? We need to listen to them more and just support them and being themselves, right? I think that would be a good way to cap that, and thank you. So
One question I did want to ask you, Cody, and Chimi Gwetch, for sharing such vulnerability. I think you really exemplified what it means to have Indigenous struggles in the 21st century. Because I think often we talk about the 60s scoop in residential schools as if like these things were so far back, they're so old, but there's clearly things that have happened in the 2000s, the 2010s. And I wanted to ask you, socially, what do you think are the biggest changes you've seen from the 2010s to the 2020s in terms of indigeneity and how you see yourself in the society?
Thank you, Gwetch, for that. I think for me, it's just like understanding that, like, oh, and it's gonna be ugly for a moment here, like there's a lot of hurt people in our communities out there, there's a lot of hurt people, and but there's also a lot of beautiful people, right? And there's also those that are gonna be willing to support you and to listen, and a lot of the time it's the elders, right? Like, I'll scream this at the top of my lungs, we got to listen to them more, right? And just be patient, and you know I think for me, like, what I saw, growing up in my own experience, we're seeing a shift, and I remember, when there was, oh, well, what year was it? But this was in recent years when Orange Shirt Day happened. And I saw tens of thousands of people walking, through the streets of Ottawa, so-called Ottawa. And I took a strong look around because a lot of them were non-Indigenous, right? And growing up, I felt like no one even cared. Nobody saw, right? And when they did see, oh, geez, right? They ridiculed you. They made you feel like you were inferior. And, like I had been with friends of mine and seeing the hardships that they went through, being followed around stores. I remember we got followed around to Shoppers one time, and it was just like a really ugly experience, but like, it's like the racism, the violence, the act of genocide is still there. But there's also a lot of people that are paying attention to it, and they're talking about it on a day to day. And my thing that I encourage people with is like, we've seen what happened in the 2010s, like it was mentioned, right? And prior to that, even the 90s. She's being born in 92 and understanding that I had a friend, that was like literally taken to residential school, right? Like that made me reflect, right? That made me reflect later on in life, about their experience. They're older than me, but their experience, we're not too far away in age. And just being like, whoa, that became a lot more real. In the 2020s, we're starting to see, a lot more of our young people speaking up. And I encourage that. Like, be unapologetic in it. Like, I don't care who I'm in front of. I've been in some events, and it's been this like suit and tie kind of environment. I pull up in like a dope jersey and some kicks, and I'll look at them straight in their face and be like, yo, you're not going to make me budge or anything, like, you won't ever silence Indigenous voices in front of me, type of thing. And I encourage that. We need to normalize that, supporting people in that way, right? Don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to challenge these narratives that have been, existing for time now, right? So I think for me, the big thing is hope. Hope, is what I've seen. Like, there's times where I just feel like so defeated, but then it'll be like a young person, because I am a youth worker, right? Part-time here in Ottawa, but also on a wider spectrum. Our young people, they know a lot, right? They know a lot, and they know right from wrong. If they can figure it out, how come these older generations can't figure it out, right? Why can't they unlearn their ignorance? Why can't they take that step for themselves, right? So anyway, thank you. I hope that covers that kind of the ground for that question. Yeah.
Awesome, Cody. Thank you. I think we have one more question, and then I think we'll wrap it up. But we are wondering if you have any artists on the horizon that you're looking to work with for some upcoming projects next.
Oh yeah. Yo, this is where I'm giving my cousin the plug, right? So my cousin's name is Tashina Sarazin. Okay, and she's on the rise, very, very talented artist, okay, based out of North Bay. incredible, incredible artist. And I want to work with her because we reconnected. You know, she's my first cousin, right? We see it like where I'm from, a cousin's a cousin, right? But like, you know, some people are like, oh, that's your third cousin, or you know, that's your great grand cousin or whatever, right? But no, like a cousin is a cousin. Okay. So my cousin Tashina, like that's definitely someone that I'm looking forward to working with. And I don't want to give away too much what we're working on, but like, you know, like there's ideas there, we're cooking, and I encourage people to go check out her album, you know, Beaver Soup, right? It's on Spotify. Okay. It's so cool, you know, what she does, single mom, just like doing her thing. And again, like there's the spectrum of like we've reconnected. So what does that, you know, reconnectedness like look like in its capacity, right? So who knows what's gonna happen? But yeah, Tashina, all the way, right? So yeah, thank you for that question. No.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much, Cody. So we'd like to thank all of the community members for joining us today and creating such a great discussion. Thank you to Victoria and Cassandra for helping with the tech and support and guidance. And of course, a big, huge Miigwech. And thanks to Cody Coyote for sharing his knowledge, his vulnerability with us, and for a meaningful and passionate presentation. I'd also like to announce that you could join us to upcoming events and activities we have going on in our Indigenous initiatives. Upcoming initiatives include discounted tickets to Imaginative Festival in November, Poppy Pin Beating, and our Howley Day event. So on behalf of the Indigenous Initiatives Department, we'd like to thank you for joining us once again, and be sure to keep an eye out on our website, our socials for upcoming events and announcements, and welcome to George Brown, and be well. And again, thank you so much, Cody.
Oh, miigwech, and bama piki wetman. Until later, everybody.
Bumblebee.
Bama
Recording stop.
Sugali swagwag, galahindi ni oget, wagi sliwagi ni wakitaloda, onida ngwe wenege, ani bojo danse, okinapi. I get, first of all, I want to say Yanko to Irumakim for the raid, and thank you for bringing your community over. Appreciate that. Always so supportive. So, for those of you who have um, just joined us or came with the raid and haven't been here before, um, I usually introduce myself. So I introduce myself in my original language, which is Sagoli Swagwag Galahindi Niogets, Wagi Sliwagi Niwakintaloda, Onida Gungwa Wenage, Ani Bojo, Danse Okinapi, How, in Yonko, Yukotonla. So that means hello everyone. Galahindi is my name, and it translates to clouds passing over in the colonial language. And I'm a member of the people of the Standing Stone First Nations here on Turtle Island. I'm on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Delaware, and Huron nations, which is in the Dish with One Spoon Covenant Treaty territory. Or in the colonial context, I'm in an area that people call southwestern Ontario. And I said, Yanko Hikodala, or thank you, friends, for being here and joining in. And so Cody Coyote is a hip hop artist who's been doing music for some time now. And he referenced a song in that video. Part of what he's trying to do is bring back our language and or reclaim the language as part of what he's doing. I'm going to share that song here in a sec. I just wanted to also mention that, you know, these conversations, as difficult as they can be sometimes, or seem like they can be at times, are imperative for healing. So, people like Cody who can share their experiences, and I do say experiences, not their stories, because that's what it is. He's sharing his life with everybody, and his past and what he's gone through and what has brought him to where he is and who he is now. And so these experiences that people share are far too common among our people, to be honest. But at the same time, when the people who have healed and overcome all the effects of residential schools and the systemic issues that they've had to deal with through our healthcare or our legal system, etc., have have actually help with when they share their stories, help others to get inspired and create a strength, a building of strength. And I think that that's um, really imperative as to why we need to continue to have these kinds of events and discussions. It's just, it allows some of the younger people who are actually stronger and really hungry for knowledge and inspiration and learning the language and reclaiming culture. It helps inspire them that much more. And I think that that's really good. And we also got to give big props to um, our ancestors, many of whom, through this whole colonial system, have still managed to maintain some of the language and our ceremonies and cultures, even if it was them having to do it in the backwoods in the middle of the night. They still taught and they still maintained them, and it's because of that that we still have a culture and a language to learn. So we got to give big props to our ancestors for overcoming and maintaining uh, that culture and language and ceremony. So Cody referred to a song called Manadu Dewagan in that um, talk. So I'm going to share that so that you can see exactly what he was talking about, or the make some kind of context as to what he referenced. So let me get my mug off the screen here and I'll share this with you now.
Rise up with the sun, feel free when I run. Heartbeat, let the drum, still see where I'm from. Move calm, Gizji Bezo, Dawe Igan, Andadizi. Spirit asleep, but now it's awake. Here when it speaks, grows harder to take. Hair like the trees, sweet grass with a braid. Connection so deep, grows harder to break. Dancing with pride, healing inside. The soil beneath, revealing my time. Chanting alive, the drum is my guide. The language I speak will revitalize. Manido, Dawe Igan. Find us, we're the ones who feel for the young. Heartbeat, let the drum, when we breathe with our lungs. Nanda Wabam, Oshke Iwan, Dawe Igan, Maranamo. Spirit has reached a point that it makes others come near with the love it creates. Stare at the sea, then gaze at the waves. Reminded of life and we won't let it fade. Dancing with pride, healing inside. The water beneath, revealing my time. Chanting alive, the drum is my guide. The language I speak will revitalize. Manido, Dawe Igan. Manido, that way Manido, that way Manido, that way Manido, that way that way Hi.
Oh yeah.
Well,
So I'm going to post the link there to that song in the chat if you enjoyed it. Um, so that was Cody Coyote, and definitely a message there. So coming up at 2 o'clock, for those of you who don't know, the Downey Wenjack Foundation, which I'm registered with now, is hosting a talk with the Wenjack sisters. Now, for those of you who don't know what what that's what this is all about, is the Downey Wenjack Foundation was created by um, the frontman of a band called Tragically Hip. His name was Gord Downey, and he was inspired to tell and share the experience of a young 12-year-old Indigenous boy named Cheney Wenjack. Cheney Wenjack, um, in the 60s, ran away from a residential school trying to get home in kind of in the middle of winter. And his home was about 400 miles from the residential school that he was in. And so when he ran away, the, the short and gist of it is that he didn't make it. He, Cheney Wenjack froze to death beside train tracks. And, oh, Reggie, yeah, go for the raid. Thank, thank you so much for bringing your communities over. Anybody who doesn't know, uh, Reggie, Reggie is a singer, songwriter, and really, really awesome guitarist. So definitely give him a follow if you haven't done if you haven't already done it, and check out his channel. Um, Let me just put this up here so it's a little easier. Um, and again, yeah, go. Ragi. Sigoli swagwag, gala hindi niyo get swagi sliwagi ni wakitaloda. Oni dog and gwawanege. Oni bojo tansi. Okinapi, how, yanko, and yukwatong. Yanko, yukwatong. Uh, for the Raiders who came in, if you're here for the first time, I just introduced myself. So I said, uh, hello, Sigoli Swagwag, hello everyone. Galahindi is my name, and it means clouds passing over in the colonial language. I'm a member of the people of the Standing Stone First Nations here on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Delaware, and Huron nations in a um, area that we call the Dish with One Spoon Covenant Treaty Territory. Now, in the colonial context, that means I'm in an area that's called Southwestern Ontario, Canada, um, for easier context or reference of those who don't know um, the proper names and things, references. So I say, Uncle, you got or thank you, friends, again for being here. And we're just kind of right in the middle of two different things going on. So we just had a discussion or a talk put on by an artist named Reggie. Reggie Singh. Boy, where's my mind? By a guy named Cody Coyote. He's an indigenous hip hop artist, but he's also a survivor of the '60s scoop. And So one of the things he referenced, which I think is interesting, that he's only born in the 90s, and so when he was born, residential schools still existed. The last residential school had never closed till 1997, and so uh, that's really not that long ago here in the area that we call Canada. And and I think it's probably around the same time as the U.S., if I'm not mistaken, it's 97, 98, somewhere around there. So residential schools is not necessarily really history per se, although there are no more residential schools. Some might argue that what's now taken over is the fostering system, which essentially is doing much of the same things. As we're taking indigenous children away from their communities and their families, and we're putting them in with families, non-indigenous families, and so they're still not getting their culture, they're still not getting um, their language and traditions taught to them. They're being taught a how to assimilate into the non-indigenous society, which is something that we've kind of are battling with on an ongoing basis because it's really, um, I mean, we've managed to maintain language and teachings and ceremony only because of elders and ancestors who have uh, continued to practice them against the colonial laws. And so we do. We were. I was just saying we give them a big props for having done that. Now, a couple other things. I'm kind of just stalling here till our next event starts, but I wanted to share a couple of things. One of the things for some of you who don't know, Logan Stats is a Mohawk Indigenous artist and singer from Six Nations of Grand River. And for the longest time, he had his sister backing him up as um, a backup vocalist and uh, a kind of I guess a spiritual support for him. And so her name was Layla Stats, and Layla when has branched out and she's done some filmmaking. So she's done a couple documentaries now. The first one was called Blood and Water, which was talking about her family's ability to survive the intergenerational effects of residential schools. But she's now just done a new one called Boil Alert, which was featured at the Toronto International Film Festival just this past September. Um, and discussing the issues of water, clean water problems that are around the world, not just North Turtle Island. So she's also branching out into her own music, and we shared a song by her about a couple of weeks ago that she had just released. And Layla is also now trying to branch out and do more music. And so, about half an hour ago or so, she just posted a new performance of her just at home doing a song. So I thought, since it's brand new, it's I don't know how many followers it has here. Um, yeah, I don't see any views on here yet. I'm sure there's has to have been some views, but I'm going to share this song anyway. And this is Layla Stats, the sister of Logan Stats. And by the way, Logan Stats, for those of you who don't know, he had an album that he just released not long ago um, called Light in the Attic. You can see it on either Apple Music or Spotify, if Spotify you dare to use. Um, and that album is now on a short list to be considered for a Grammy Award, which is an awesome thing. So we're keeping our thumbs and our fingers crossed that that he moves on to the next stage, And so that would be really awesome for him to have happen to him. So keep that in mind. Anyways, this is I'm gonna get my mug up to screen and I'll play the Layla song for you.
Tell me about the good old days. Sometimes it feels like the world's gone crazy. Rock so dark. Take me back to yesterday, when the lines between right and wrong didn't seem so hazy. Love was really fun, love to stay, stand beside each other, come with me. So promise really something people care, not just something they would say. Families really bow their heads and pray, and it's really never go away. Oh, brown star, tell me about the good old days. Everything is changing fast. They call it progress, but I just don't know. Let's walk back into the past. Paint me a picture long ago. The lovers really fall in love to stay. Stand beside each other, come with me. So promise really something people care, not just something they would say. The families really bow their heads and pray. Daddies really never go away. Oh, grandpa, tell me about the good old days. Oh, grandpa, tell me about the good old days. To our grandpas.
Okay, so I'm going to I have just pulling up the file here. So this is still Layla's still putting this out at film festivals and doing community events where she screens this film for discussion on the effects of intergenerational trauma caused by the residential school system. And so this is a really beautifully shot film, and with conversation from obviously from Layla as well as her brother Logan talking about their family's history and and how they've overcome it and how they've used reconnecting to Mother Earth as their healing process. So this is really well done. So I hope you enjoy this.
Ahodan Kariwadegwa. the words before all else. I was told by people in the filmmaking industry that I shouldn't start the documentary with the Thanksgiving address. It can take up to 20 minutes to thank all elements of creation. And it's all in Mohawk, so you can't understand any of it. Most people don't speak Mohawk. I was told you'll lose them. They won't watch it. And for me, that was exactly why we had to start this film with Tiahoda Gariwadegwa. I remember the first time I heard the Thanksgiving address, I had no idea what they were saying. I was at a conference sitting there, an elder walked to the front of the room and started speaking. And even though I couldn't understand it, I knew it was significant. I knew it was important. I felt it in my bones, in my blood. But when I looked around, I saw people on their phones, checking out, getting bored and impatient. And it became very clear to me that this is part of the problem in our society. We're in this microwave society where we want everything now. We want it so bad that we can't even take the time to acknowledge the gratitude and the thankfulness for the things that we have that keep us alive. So as you listen to Tiahoda Gariwadegwa, I really want you to, even though you don't understand what they're saying, I really want you to connect with the feeling of gratitude and giving that thanks for all of these things and listening with a good mind.
Daye tina warado ne ungwai sua. Ito gari na yo tuhage na yangwa niguna. Daye tina warado na eti nistaha johwanjade. Ito gari na yo tuhage na yangwa niguna. Daye tina warado na gahniga sua. Ito gari na yo tuhage na yangwa niguna. Daye tina warado na gunjo sua. Da eto na yotoge na nangwa nigura. Da etina wanado na yotunduni. Da eto na yotoge na nangwa nigura. Da etina wanado na ono kwa sua. Da eto gari na yotoge na nangwa nigura. Da etina wanado na asa nigunda de kohogua. Da eto gari na yotoge na nangwa nigura. Da etina warado ne wahyaniota. Da eto gari na yotohage na nangwa niguna. Da etina warado ne gundirio. Da eto gari na yotohage na nangwa niguna. Da etina warado ne garunda sua. Da eto gari na yotohage na nangwa niguna. Da etina warado ne zita ogua. Da eto gari na yotohage na nangwa niguna. Da etina warado na gayeri ni gawarage. Da eto gari na yotohage na nangwa nigura. Da etina warado na eti sotogo radiweras. Da eto gari na yotohage na nangwa nigura. Da tsidawa no warado na tsidawa tia anje kene garakwa. Da eto gari na yotohage na nangwa nigura. Da etina warado na eti sota asta neka garakwa. Da eto gari na yotohage na nangwa nigura. Da etina warado na yoji stoh kwaronyo. Da eto gari na yotohage na nangwa nigura. Da etina warado na diunkiarado. Da eto gari na yotohage na nangwa nigura. Da tsidawa no warado na sungwaya dizo. Da eto gari na yotohage na nangwa nigura. Da eto.
Sego Skanagoa. Layla Black Youngyats, Anuwari, Niwagi Daroden, Ganyakehaga, Niwago Wandroden, Oswego Nidawageno. Hello, my name is Layla Black. I'm Mohawk Turtle Clan from Six Nations. Mohawk Turtle Clan. But I never really knew what that meant. My Riga'on and Kega'on are generational survivors of the residential school. It was only recently when we made this decision to reclaim our Haudenosaunee identity, our language, our culture, that we started to become aware of just how impacted we had been from this ongoing trauma of residential schools. And as we begin to understand what we didn't know, it also became apparent that some things we didn't need to learn. We didn't have to be taught these things because they were in our blood all along. And one of those lessons was our connection to the water. It's literally in our blood. And one of the first things that I learned along this journey was the importance of the Thanksgiving address, the Ahodan Gariwadegwa, the words before all else. No ceremony, no gathering, nothing of significance would begin without these words. Uniting our minds, all as one, to give thanks. And the waters are just one of the elements recognized in this address. Onega Sho'a, the waters. We give thanks to the waters of the world for quenching our thirst and providing us strength. Water is life. We know its power in many forms. Waterfalls, rain, mist, streams, rivers, and oceans. Water connects us. Without it, we die. With one mind, we give thanks to the spirit of the water. Now, our minds are one. As I share my Papa's story with you, I want you to think about your own connection to water. Feel it flow within you. Feel it pulse in your veins, in your blood. So let's go back to where my relationship with water first started. Gord Stotts, the son of Ernest and Susan Stotts, the grandson of Christine Stotts. My middle name is Christine, after her. Christine was a student at the Mohawk Institute Residential School. I never knew her, but I feel like I still carry her with me. And one of the things I definitely feel is the trauma. I remember stories of her being passed down, of her escaping from the windows and scaling the walls just to get away. Instead of passing down a gift of culture and language and this beautiful tradition to her children and her grandchildren, like the Creator intended, she passed down a coat of shame. She literally had the Indian beat out of her, and that trauma trickled down through our family. The love that one gets from a parent, Christine never had, never learned how to experience, how to share it. Imagine that. As a child, never feeling love, never experiencing love. And that pattern continues through generations. My Papa's childhood was cold and hard. Because of that residential school, he didn't know his language. He didn't know his culture. He didn't know anything that I'm about to share with you here in this video. And I always saw him as kind of afraid of it. He would tell us not to use our last name on our resume because we wouldn't get the job. He would tell us not to tell people that we were Native, not to go to the reserve because it was dangerous. He cast that coat of shame down to us, his grandchildren. We were Mohawk Turtle Clan, but that was all we knew, and we didn't even know what that meant. And like a lot of families dealing with this intergenerational trauma, alcoholism, violence, depression, trauma sprinkled throughout my family. It spread like a virus you couldn't get rid of. And only when my brother and sister and I started to learn our Haudenosaunee culture did we start to recognize this dark spot that had been living inside of us. And as I started to learn about the history of my family, the history of what happened to hundreds of thousands of these Indigenous children, what happened to Christine, I started to understand those feelings of not belonging. I started to understand that pain and anger I was carrying around. And I really started to get it. And thus started my healing journey. My Papa may have never taught me the Ahodan Gariwadegwa. He didn't show me the ceremonies. He didn't show me the history of the Ganyakehaga. But one thing he did teach me was the relationship and responsibility that I had to water. As I look back now, I see residential schools. They may have cut their hair off. They may have taken their names and give them numbers, taken their language. But even through that coat of shame, my papa felt the water. It was alive to him. It was alive inside of him. And he passed that on to me. Nyawagoa, Cord. Every morning he'd wake up at dawn and he would walk this land. He dug these ponds on this land so that future generations of his family would always have access to water. He spoke at conferences in our nation's capital about how these ponds could help Indigenous communities that didn't have access to water. He dug ponds for other people in the community. Water is in our blood, and I come to these spots to see through all of that trauma that was passed down to me and heal with the water. We all have different connections with the water. Different, yet the same.
To me, the water is almost like a physical manifestation of spirit. You can see spirit flowing down beside you.
For me, whenever I'm feeling, down or lost, or I just have a question, I just go and I sit by the water and I just listen, and it all comes and it all just feels right.
I grew up on an island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and when I left, I remember dreaming about it. And I still dream about it decades later, because the water that I grew up around was also in my blood.
Water is what makes up most of your body. So it's outside of you and it's alive and well, just like your body is. So you can literally see the spirit in the water as it's flowing.
The Grand River has been an integral part of the Haudenosaunee life. The city of Brantford and surrounding areas is on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Chippewa, and the Attawatam people. And the work we do, the activism, the learning, it will never be complete unless we acknowledge and remind ourselves and others that colonization is not just a thing of the past. We must acknowledge settlers have access to this land because of colonial violence. The Haldimand Treaty guaranteed the exclusive use of 950,000 acres, 6 miles along each side of the Grand River, to the Haudenosaunee people, to the members of Six Nations. To this day, through the process of colonialism, racism, genocide, settlers have secured 902,000 acres, leaving 48,000 acres for Six Nations. So we have to acknowledge the resilience of these Six Nations communities that have lived, loved, and resisted here forever. We acknowledge the resilience of this land. We acknowledge our role in decolonizing the mindset of the land we all call home now. And after all these broken treaties and stolen lands, still more than 50% of homes on Six Nations are running without running water. But who has the rights to these waters? The Haudenosaunee speak in terms of responsibility, respect to the water, not in terms of water rights. The law of the land is not of police and government, but it's a higher law. The original instructions, Ahodan Gariwadegwa. The Creator gave us this task as humans to recite the Thanksgiving address, which is a constant reminder of the early law of the land, to first give thanks. We believe that at one time all creatures, all living things could communicate, talk to each other, even the water. Today, the water's lost its ability, lost its voice, and it's the responsibility of the Haudenosaunee to uphold the voice of the water. It was passed down to us. So being the voice of the water, much different than owning it or having a right to it. What happens if we don't have enough water? What happens if we poison our water? What does our world look like? My papa may have never learned the traditional beliefs of his ancestors. He never learned the Thanksgiving address. He never went to Longhouse, and he never spoke a single Mohawk word.
He didn't really have a connection to his culture, but without knowing it, he was like one of the most indigenous men that I knew. The knowledge that he carried, how to create these ponds, how to create clean ecosystems and habitats for all our creatures out here, how to really, cultivate the water and make it safe to drink. It's just so amazing to kind of watch him do these super indigenous things without really knowing who he was.
He may have been ashamed and afraid of who he was because of colonization. But it's not too late for us. It was those walks along the water's edge where I first remember truly feeling connected. Connected to the bigger picture, connected to nature, connected to life and to Mother Earth. I remember understanding at a very early age I had to take care of the water. And now I'm understanding that it's my responsibility to be the voice of the water, which is why I wanted to make this film. I wanted to share his story and other stories. I get to sing with the water, to the water, for the water. Water is life. It holds energy and it's alive. One of the other lessons I learned as I started to reclaim my culture was the two-row wampum.
My name is Susie Miller. I am a teacher at Emily C. General Elementary School at Six Nations. Our ancestors knew how to live in relationship because they lived in relationship for thousands of years. So the two-row is the first treaty that was made outside of Indigenous nations from Turtle Island. One purple row represents the ship of those that came across the water. The other row represents the canoe of our ancestors traveling the waters. What those two rows do is they travel parallel down the river of life, side by side, without interfering. In this row in the ship, thinking and way of life tends to be linear. It's always progressing. In the canoe way of understanding, it's like a circle, it's a cycle, and everything is connected. This treaty, when it was made, it's a promise, and there was no end point because they said that as long as the grasses grow and the rivers flow, this treaty will be in existence, and it still exists today. How we are to be living in relationship with each other.
Residential schools may have taken our languages. They may have taken our culture and our access to knowledge and ancestral wisdom. They may have caused trauma and pain that is still being felt today. But through all that, they could not take away my papa's connection to the water. It was inside of him all along, just like it's inside of you. Thank you for spending this time with me and my papa and the water and my family. Water is life. Yongana longwa onega. Onegawahi. Gunalongkwa.
This song deserves an introduction. The Haudenosaunee call the white pine the tree of peace. The peacemaker's journey tells the story of how our nations came together and buried their hatchets, buried their weapons underneath the roots of the white pine. I took this song with me to the Wet'suwet'en territory to defend the Wenzikwa, their sacred headwaters. I remember that moment standing on that bridge with matriarchs and elders and land defenders and chiefs and watching as hundreds of police mobilized against us coming up to the bridge. There was military greens across the side with sniper rifles, attack dogs pulling at their chains, helicopters overhead. And as I watched this wall of violence coming towards us, something inside of me said, Layla, sing. And a cappella on my own on this broken bridge, I sang over a wall of police. I sang, even if no one listened. I sang. White pine, I come in peace. White pine, down on my knees.
Okay, Scully? Okay, you should be able to hear me now. Okay, so, do you hear me now? Okay. So I was saying to myself, I guess, that Logan Stats, just a reminder, Logan Stats just released an album in March. You can either listen to on Apple Music, or if you happen to be a Spotify user, it's also there. And he is actually on a short list for a Grammy Award. So we're keeping our fingers crossed and our hopes up that and prayers that he gets to the next level. And because I guess it's a bit of a process for them to go through to actually get on those final uh, numbers of people being nominated. So that's awesome work for him though too. The other thing I was saying is I really appreciate that Layla put that introduction at the beginning of the song, because I know that there are a lot of people who don't understand what the tree of peace actually refers to, or the white pine for that matter. Um, although, so that having that put into context at the beginning is really uh, good to have. So what we have coming up in what should be just a few minutes is the Downey Wenjack uh, Foundation is hosting a talk with the Wenjacks, which is the sisters, and I believe the brothers should be there as well, of Gord Downey, who was the front man for the band Tragically Hip. And he created this foundation in order to really pull awareness to the history of residential schools here on Turtle Island. And it was something he wanted to ensure that he left a positive legacy behind, because he knew he was diagnosed with cancer, and he knew that he wanted to do something before he went to the next world. And this was a significant. He did a lot of work, and so we're so honored to have such an ally in Gord Downey. And so his sisters will be doing a talk shortly. So while we're waiting for that, I will see if I can. I'll just throw on another song here. Let's go. Well, since we're talking about Logan, let me find a Logan song. And
Another cheap hotel, another book beside the bed. Should I pick it up, or should I light a cigarette? I think I'll light my cigarette. Searching for the truth on the dark side of the road, longing for the light. Now I'm not a holy man. Hell, I don't even pray. Another dead-end street, lost and found in this old town. Should I go to sleep Should I buy another round? I think I'll buy another round. Searching for the truth on the dark side of the road, longing for the light now. I'm not a holy man. I don't even pray. I don't even pray. I don't even pray. Searching for the truth on the dark side of the road, longing for the light now. I'm not a holy man. I don't even pray.
Hello, my name is Santiago Marin. I'm here to make a land acknowledgement. Okay, we're here all together, gathered, to recognize and to truly remember all the victims of residential schools. Uh, uh, we are here together to make this statement to know what happened before and what is happening now about the land and residential school survivors, and especially Chani Wenjak. We are here to remember him and to honor him in presence of his sisters, and to acknowledge all the learnings and the organizations that are trying to make a better world today for indigenous people and in general residential school survivors. First of all, I want to recognize and to thankful to Mother Earth and to all the people present here, uh, and also I would like to acknowledge the tradition and the ancestral work in the territory that all the natives have been done in all these years to recognize what happened and to let the people know what happened in their territories. The native peoples right now are struggling with many reminders of residential school teachings. uh, right now, we're trying to spread the word about what happened and to see what could we do as not indigenous people to help them and to help to spread what happened and to let the people know and to make a real reconciliation about it. I invite to everyone and and all the people that really thinks about these things uh, to really care about it, because right now we're in a in a in a historic moment when indigenous peoples are recognized, and all of us have to say sorry for all the things that happened, and all of us have to think about it and to try to make a better world for everyone, including the native people of all the world and Canada. Thank you.
Awesome. Sassy Ringo for today's land acknowledgement. Inspired by Cheney's story and Gord's call to action to build a better Canada, the Gord Downey and Cheney Wenjack Fund aims to build a cultural understanding between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. This week is Secret Path Week. It marks the days that Cheney and Gord joined Spirit Week, October 17th to the 22nd. Gord's call to action to do something. People throughout Secret Path Week are marking this week and doing events like this, which are called reconciliations. A reconciliation is a meaningful action towards reconciliation. And just by joining here today, you are doing a reconciliation. It's great to be here at Dennis Franklin Community High School in Thunder Bay, Ontario. I have Mike Downey, Pearl, Evelyn, and Daisy with us here today, along with Harriet and her daughter Kira. And there we go. Does anybody want to start out? So let's talk about when we first had Gord join you guys on Thursday. How was that?
The trip up to Abuja Post in 2016. It was a very important trip for Gord. He just finished the tour of Canada last summer with the Tragically Hip, which was very emotional. Obviously, his farewell tour, his chance to say goodbye to the country, and he was exhausted after the tour. But what he really wanted to do was to get going on Secret Path right away. And so that September, we had a trip planned to go up to Agoki Post. Gord, my brother Patrick, and I, and friends, Alvin Fiddler, Ryan Moran, Sheila North Wilson, Stuart Cox, and we went up to meet the Winjack sisters for the first time, to see where Chaney came from. And this was really important for Gord. This was really important for all of us. It was really important for Gord because now that the music part of his life had wrapped up, this was his new purpose. This was the purpose that he found for himself. To work to try to tell the story of Cheney Wenjack and to try to bring it to as many people as possible. To the whole country if he could, to outside the rest of the world if he could. So it was very important for Gord on a personal level. It was very important on a national level too, because the media were watching Gord's every move. So maybe Pearl or Daisy or whoever could fill in what happened next.
Can you kids hear? You can hear. There's 7 of us girls, but there's only 4 alive. One is not here because she chooses not to come. She has her personal reasons. She's the youngest of us 4. Anyway, Charlie, I only know my brother is by his English name, the way he was baptized in the Anglican Church, which is by the name of Charlie. For viewers that don't know, residential schools were already in progress by the time I was 7. I was only 7 when I went to school. She was only 6 and my older sister was deceased, was 8 years old. We went to school. There was no schools on the reserve at that time, where most of the reserves are like that, where you guys come from. I understand today, as I'm a social counselor, education counselor, how also your kids feel leaving your community and have to come to school and board up either native or non-native boarding homes. It's lonesome. The ones from the mission, they tell me when they call, they get lonesome. But we try to instill in them they gotta finish school. Well, it was the same thing when we were going to school. And when Charlie finally came to school too, as long as he would see us older sisters, he was okay. But we were not allowed to be with each other in school, to have contact with him and all that. So we used to see him, we were all across the field and play with other boys. But I knew he was lonesome. And the year that he passed, all of us that were in high school at that time were sent away to different high schools, and we actually ended up in Monterey. But they were still, the three of them were still in Kenora, Charlie, Andy, and Vicky. Charlie was lonesome, but he also had other things that he had to face inside the school. Other things that you'll probably hear was the residential school issues and that causes trauma in your life. Well, he faced those things, and what he tried to do was run away from college with his buddies that he used to hang around with. He wanted to be in school, but school was not the way it is today. For kids that can't go to school and go home. We had to stay in Kenora, in a boarding home, not in a boarding home, but in the residential school. And we had all kinds of rules and regulations that we had to follow. And it causes trauma in our systems. It's not the trauma that I would like to share or anything, because it's not your fault. It's not your fault that you don't went to school. But the thing is, I've always advocated that more high schools would be built beside the reserves, so you kids that are coming for high school don't have to leave the reserve if you choose to, and if you choose, then that's your choice. We were kids, we didn't have no choice. We were just all kids. I spent 12 years inside the residential school. And I always knew my brother's story. I always carried it with me. I always carry it to this day. When God came, when God and the other brother came up to talk to us about the secret path story they were doing in regards to Sherry's life. I didn't really know how to react something. I started to see whatever. We were involved in trying to get residential school issues being discussed. And 8 other ones from different reserves like Mercury and then they were the ones that were with us through being children having to spend 10 months at a time in sex school. So when the Sacred Path, if you watch it, it covers a lot of things that we have to face in school. I know I don't watch it myself, but it's on sometimes I can watch it once a year. But it's so close to a little brother I have to protect him. I couldn't protect my little brother. That's how all Indian kids feel when they have little sisters or brothers. You want to protect them from something from harming them. So I was the same way. So anyway, so 4 years that are enjoying homes here, in the picture from here, no, that's okay. Finish what you have to do, go to school, go to college, go to university. I had to do the same thing later on in my years and finish my grade 12 in college. So I know what it takes to do those things. So sorry for taking too much time to do this, but I wanted to share that part of it is that kids are still leaving the reserve to the school. I wish it didn't have to be like that. I wish it could all have, high school inside our reserves. Programs that we need and all that. It's always been my hope. And will continue to be my hope. So thank you for listening. I pray that you'll be okay.
So we're actually going to go to Oak Bank Elementary School to see if they have a question for the Wenjacks or Mike Down. Sorry, can you say that again?
Are any of Chicky's friends still alive?
Can we actually have your teacher write that in the chat so I can ask the Wenjacks or Mike the question that you are asking? Are any of Cheney's friends still alive that tried to escape with him?
One.
There is one. And he was about your age. He was 12 years old when he left residential school, and he was 9 when he first attended. Is there any other questions from Oak Bank Elementary?
Can you hear me now? No.
Oh, I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm wondering what did they do when they were at residential schools?
Yeah, I think you actually have to type it because it did get a little choppy there.
Okay. Weekend holidays.
did they do for weekends and holidays? Were you still at the school or did you get
We never had a holiday. What is a holiday? No, we didn't have a holiday.
No, there was no holidays. They didn't get to go home.
No, the speaker should sit in that chair.
Let's go to Walter Scott Public School. You're just on mute right now.
How old was Jenny's sisters when he passed away?
How old were you when he passed away? So the oldest sister was 19 when he passed away.
And they also want to know if you still live in a Goku Post. Does somebody want to sit?
Pearl?
We're nominating Pearl to be closer to the mic.
They can't, the kids can't hear. It's too far from the microphone.
Up close and personal.
And look right into that computer. That's it.
So did you all attend the same school?
We did. The CJ and Kamara.
Okay. So because of the audio, none of the people live can hear us. So we will be ending a little shortly today, but we will still have a session with DFC.
When they hear Pearl, you talk towards that computer.
Yeah.
We just try that to see if they can hear better if Pearl's up close like that speaking. Speak loudly if you can.
Okay, if you can hear me, we went to school for 10 months out of the whole year. We never left the school in those 10 months. So I don't know what you're talking about when you say holiday.
And you still live in Ogoki Post, correct?
Yeah, we do. There's 3 of us that live in Ogoki.
And let them know what you do with all the letters that you receive in our PO box or during our events like Scotiabank Arena for Indigenous History Month.
I've read every one of the letters that have been sent, and Lisa at the fund had asked me to send her the letters, and she's got an egg box full of letters that I sent her. I don't know what she's doing. I don't know if she's putting them alphabetically or I have no idea.
Okay, does Walter Scott have another question for Pearl or for Mike Downey?
I think you can go to another school. Thank you.
We're just going to bring up a question from the chat. So let's go with, can you speak to the importance of educating today's youth, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous, on the impacts of residential school for the journey of reconciliation for the next 7 generations.
Children today are luckier than what we were. Take advantage of the freedom that you have and do all that you can and be all that you can be. And other things will fall into place once you start that journey for yourself.
So I just want to say thank you to everyone for your patience, because as we were having audio issues as we are in a gym. Thank you for sticking around. And if you have any more questions for the family, please drop them in the chat. How involved is the family in organizing DWF live events? And is there a way for educators to get someone to Zoom meet talks with their learners? So the family is very involved with the fund. They are on our board and we work very closely with them. And for DWF live events, we host them monthly after Secret Path Week. This week we did 5. Yesterday was with Buffy St. Marie. On Friday, it's with Bernie Francis. But if you reach out to us, we can see if there's an artist ambassador in your area that can come and join and speak. If we have staff in the area, we can also come there as well. And I have a question actually from our artist ambassador. What forms of resistance did they use to preserve your culture? So what did you do?
What did I do? What?
Oh, Amanda has a question from Mike.
Okay.
So Gord urged all of the people in Canada to do something to build a better country. What is one reconciliation which is a meaningful action that moves reconciliation forward? We all can take to build a better Canada.
Well, no, you stay there. Well, I think that there's so many acts of reconciliation. I know a lot of the schools are doing a walk for Wenjack. That's an active, great activity. Something you can do as a group. I know some schools have done walks where they've tried to add up to the 600 kilometers, the distance between the residential school in Kenora and Channy's home in Ogoki Post. But, I think that, every reconciliation moves the needle a little bit because you're getting involved. Ideally, people are learning about what you're doing, but whether it's at work or at school, there's people putting on concerts. Sometimes they're playing Secret Path songs. Sometimes they're playing Tragically Hip songs. Those bring a lot of people together. And as long as people are talking about how we can make this a better and more equitable country, I think we're moving the needle. So to answer your question, whether you're doing a walk for Wenjack, whether you're buying tickets to go see an Indigenous artist who's coming to your city or town, there's really 100 different ways that you can get involved. If you go to our website, you're going to see a list of the different reconciliations that people are doing. We really like to focus on the schools because, our teachers are really our partners. We really believe in our educators. We really believe that, this generation of Canadians is going to learn the true history of their country and try to be more aware of indigenous lives, indigenous culture, language, you name it. Because this was something that I know when Gord and I went to school, it was nothing. We didn't know anything about indigenous stories. It was just a big zero. And that's changing. I think that's really exciting. So, a lot of reconciliation, or just reconciliation, happens in the classroom thanks to our teachers. And the Downey Wenjack Fund is trying to support our educators the best that they can. So, thank you.
So we have another question in the chat. Marla asked, what is your favorite memories of change?
Mine is rolling up. We used to walk into the creek or the river, and we used to turn rocks upside down. And we used to find these little tiny fish that were about 2 inches long with big heads. I don't know what they're called. But we used to find those things, and we used to collect them. And we used to leave the rocks up, and they used to look so good when those rocks used to be up, after digging out that fish. I don't know why we did that for, but we used to do that all the time. And the other thing is, this season in the fall,
So we actually have a question here as well.
we used to play. We used to play with the leaves. We used to roll in the leaves and run when the leaves used to come tumbling down. My favorite memory of my brother is, I think all of you heard that what special ed is. Special ed is for kids that need special help to learn, to talk, or even they're sort of slow in their learning kind of thing. Well, we had that when we were going to school too, but ours was labeled junior opportunity was for the lower grades, and senior opportunity was for grade 5 and up. Charlie was, from the time he entered school, was in junior opportunity, and I was in senior opportunity for 5 years. That's how long it took for me to learn English. And my little brother used to make fun of that, joke when we were talking about it, and we were sitting having popcorn. He used to call me dummy. That's my favorite memory of my little brother, was he used to call me dummy. We used to tease each other because we were in these special classes. It isn't easy to go through these things, even though it's been a good many years already. It's just like yesterday. It's like yesterday. That's how it is when you have lived in residential school in an institution, and you get institutionalized. So it's everything that's happened and all that, and memory and all that. It's like yesterday. And That's what we find hard. And it's not, we're not the only ones. You probably have relatives, brothers, uncles, grandparents that have went to residential school that are the same way. What's your favorite memory? You know what we used to do, eh? Every Saturday, we used to get 10 cents for tuck shop, what we call tuck shop. Everything was cheap by then. All of us, including my older sister and all that, and Charlie and all that. I used to buy popcorn, elephant popcorn. So we would sneak down the hill and we'd tell Charlie, you know, to sneak down the hill and meet us. And we would spread paper on the ground and pour that toilet paper, popcorn out. And we would pick on it one by one. But we always left most of it for Charlie, because he was the youngest of us girls. And he used to have that prize that was inside the box. We used to have to do those kind of things sort of hide ourselves to try to get in touch with them and be with them and all that. We went through that for a number of years. So we find it hard that we had to lose our only brother that was alive. He was actually 11 of us in the family, only 4 of us alive on the second family. Anyway, I know my sisters here, memories. We all have memories. We all grew up with them and the things he did and all that. There's always paying jokes. That's how he was. Always paying jokes. And not on anybody, just us family. So whatever your brothers and sisters that have, keep those memories alive in your family, because those are the ones that things that will help you as you get older and get on with your life. You're excited.
My favorite memory of my brother was he was my playmate. We often sneaked off to play in the bush, pretending to have set up a camp. And we always had this supervisor that watched out for anybody else. And so she knew that we wanted to play together and spend time with one another. And we make a little fireplace, and we gather the leaves and we'd string them up with a little piece of twig, and we would string them up across over a fire. And then we'd gather other twigs and make a little teepee. And then we would spend so much time doing that. And it was always in the back of the school where there was a lot of thick brush where you couldn't see us. And the other thing that we always did was we'd go down to the shore of the lake. There was a lot of bloodsuckers in that lake, and we'd catch some and we'd pretend that to cook them, pretend to eat them. that was our way of coping of what we had to go through. And as him and we went to the same schools. I'd often see him in his classroom, but I wasn't allowed to be with him. And there were times when he would sneak off and I would help him with his lessons. And these were the times I cherished most. Thank you for listening.
So thank you to everyone that joined today's DWF Live. We are going to wrap up as audio is a little bit iffy right now, but I do want to thank DFC for letting us join here today and for Santiago for opening us up for the land acknowledgement. If you want to check out our previous DWF Live sessions, they are on our YouTube and our Facebook page. So you can check out those as well. And tomorrow we will have Brittany Francis for the DWF Live session. And yeah, thank you everyone.
Sgurley Swagwag, Galahindi Neoget, Wagisli Wagi Niwakitaloda, Nidaag and Gwe Wenege, Ani, Bonjour, Danse, Okinapi, How. And I want to, first of all, I should say big Yanko, Benny, Dake, for bringing your community over and raiding in here, of all places. We had, I think, a relatively good stream today, and I think that I'll keep the bot up after the stream so that anybody who missed part of it. We started out today with a talk by Cody Coyote, a hip hop artist who's discussing his um journey through healing from the effects of the 60 scoop. He was a survivor of the 60 scoop. Um, so we talked also had a short documentary with Layla Black, um, a Mohawk filmmaker, who her first documentary was called Blood and Water, and really discussed how they connected with water and used water, their connection to the water for healing and their effects of the surviving. Oh, Scott, go for rating in. You're actually kind of catching us at the end, but I appreciate you popping in here. For those of you, I guess I should do this first of all, um, just because I want to share. So, Sigoli Swagwag, Galahindi Neoget, Swagi Sliwagi, Niwaki Dolora, Onida Gungwe Wenage, Oni Bojo, Dante, Okinapi, How, Yauko, Yukodonlas. Uh, for the new Raiders, anyone who's just come in and don't know who I am, if you're here for the first time, I just introduced myself. So I said, hello everyone, my name is Galahindi. That translates to clouds passing over in the colonial language. And I'm a member of the people of the Standing Stone First Nations, which is on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Delaware, and Huron nations. And we are in an area that we call the Dish with One Spoon Treaty Territory. And in the colonial context, it means we are in southwestern Ontario. just for context for those who are not familiar with the traditional uh, names. So the actually the treaty that we're discussing is done prior to settler arrival, so it's one of the longest running. The Dish with One Spoon Treaty is one of the longest running treaties on Turtle Island. It's still being recognized by the indigenous peoples today. So I appreciate you all coming in. So I was just saying today we had a great stream. We started out with a talk with Cody Coyote, who talked about his healing journey through uh, becoming a survivor, if that's the proper term, of the 60 scoop. And then we had a documentary by Layla Black, who's a Mohawk filmmaker, singer, songwriter, activist, land defender. She's got so many hats on. I don't know how she handles it. But Layla did a documentary called Blood and Water, which is tells the story about her family's healing journey as well through the intergenerational effects of residential schools. And then we just had a discussion with the Wenjack sisters, who are the family of Gord Wenjack. Sorry, Gord Downey, who's the frontman for Tragically Hip. For those who don't know, Tragically Hip is a Canadian rock band, and Gord Downey was the vocalist and songwriter singer. He created a foundation called the Downey Wenjack Fund, and the whole purpose of the fund was to ensure that there was resources provided for schools to teach children right from grade 1 to grade 13, and the history of residential schools here, and so that we can ensure everybody is aware of what they were, what they did, and you know the effects that they created. And the last residential school didn't close till 1997 here in the northern part of Turtle Island, the part we call Canada. So not that long ago, and even when Cody Coyote was talking, when he was young, one of his friends got taken to residential school. So it's and he's only 30 years old. Um, so it kind of shows that this is not really history per se, because it's still the whole effects of this is really still pretty fresh. And so we're still dealing with these types of things today, as far as the emotional um, trauma, the addictions, alcohol, drugs, the domestic violence. All of these things are really kind of uh, remnants of what went on in these systems. And so there's a lot of healing still to be done. I will say that we have moved forward. It's a slow process, but it's taken us 500 years to get to where we are now. It'll take us another 500 to kind of get back to having real, meaningful, true reconciliation. I think, in the sense that we can all be cohabitating on this world in a way that we can. So let's. I'm gonna look for someone to raid out to. I want to remind you tomorrow there is another discussion at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm just trying to remember now. Who is it? Uh, seeing tomorrow. Um, I will post it in my Discord. So if anyone is wanting to know what's going on, um, I will post that in the Discord. I believe there may be some schedule conflicts going on, which may or may not affect that stream tomorrow. But keep an eye on the Discord, because that's where you'll probably get the most up to date information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a version of the Peaceful Warrior, which is a project that, if you don't know what it is, actually I'll put a little blurb in there for that. Um, over 20, almost 25, I think it's about 24, the last count, uh, Twitch artists have added their voice to the Peaceful Warrior project. And it's a project that we have created to help, first of all, unite streamers and with a common, I guess, thought process of being open and standing up for people who can't stand up for themselves and adding a voice to a cause that's important to you. So that could be uh, child abuse or child hunger or domestic abuse or um, LGBTQTIA, two-spirit communities, um, abortion rights, whatever is whatever is important to you, whatever you feel is a cause that you want to add your voice to, it's important that you do that. So don't don't expect that all of these issues are just going to go away and get healed on their own, because that just doesn't happen. It takes voices to bring up these issues and to uh, touch base with the systems that are in place that can actually do something about change. And so, unless those systems, and whether it be the political system or the school system or the healthcare system, unless those systems are actually touched, you touch base with them, a lot of systems are not going to change because everything stays status quo, if you will, unless someone actually speaks up and says, this has got to change. And so, whatever your cause happens to be, um, don't be afraid to talk about it, because it's important to have these difficult conversations in order for change to actually occur. And that's why we talk about some of the things that we talk about here all the time. And it may sound, to some people, may seem repetitive, but ultimately I think that it's important that we reach as many ears as we can with the issues that we feel are important. So definitely keep that in mind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a rendition of the Peaceful Warrior. So this was based on a poem I wrote, and all of these streamers, who are all talented in their own way, whether they were drummers or violinists or singers, it's. I thought, when I brought this up, I would get one or two streamers who might do it, and it's turned out that we now have um, like 24 streamers or 25 streamers who have added their talents to this project, and I think it's awesome that they have done this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my mug off the screen. I'm going to play a rendition. Now this part that I'm playing right now has me on vocals. Charlie from Plus Six Production did the mixing, so the initial core song was done that way, and then our friend Bagel Rabbit actually added some violin to it on her stream. So I'm gonna get my mug up to screen. I'll play this rendition for you, and I hope you enjoy this.
Yeah, I don't know of
My
any...
name's Geller Hyundai.
Hi, Geller.
My name is Geller Hyundai. My name's Geller Hyundai, and I'm a war for peace.
Okay.
All senseless attacks I see must cease. So what am I doing here? What do I really want to say? Is that this world has got to change its way. See, I'm going to fight for the red, white, yellow, and black. I'm going to fight for the ones who can't fight back. And I'm talking about all the preachers, from the water to the skies. I'm talking about all the issues, from the truth to the lies. And I'm gonna make my stand with a paper and a pen. You wanna argue that? Go back to bed again. Cause you're never gonna win against what I stand for. So sit down, shut up, and listen as I give you my grand. See, I'm going to target the corruption in the government. I'm going to target the poison in our environment. I'm going to target the injustices to the people. I'm going to hit every target, or I won't keep still. See, I'm going to battle the battle of the battles. I'm going to shake up the cage until it rattles. You're never going to get rid of me. Not till the problems of the world are cut at the knee, you know what I'm saying? Let me kick this out one more time. So crystal clear is the message in my rhyme. I said my name is Coyote, and I'm a war for peace. All senseless attacks I see must cease. I'm going to fight for the red, white, yellow, and black. I'm going to fight for the ones who can't fight back. So let's keep passing around our information so we can improve this planet through education. Somebody's got to make the people aware. Someone's got to make everybody care. So pass that message on if you dare. And whether it's mine or yours, we all got to share. Because there's more power in one man's voice than all the weapons of military choice. Now you put your voice with my voice, we can shout out loud that we belong to the human race, that we are proud. You don't have to be a master of science to see that we need to create a worldwide alliance in order to approach the corporations that's asking people for their insubordinations. When they bring up what's happening to our waters, and the diseases spread to our slaughters. And what about the government officials who stand behind them? Their backdoor handshakes and verbal deals that bind them. We've seen how the world can be devastated through the actions of men with minds of hatred. Look at him, Charlie Manson, leaving Osama. These are the men who've caused us trauma. I said these are the men who've caused us trauma. Then we have competent hookers in the backseats, with punk-ass teens knifing each other in the streets. We have drug dealers hooking up kids with crack. Why, there's a lot of shit in this world that's just whack. We have people who stand up for the rights and get shot down. Well, you better batten down the hatches. Cause we heading into the next round. Because there's no getting to a war without losses. Lennon, King, Gandhi, they're all on symbolic crosses. Now the speakers of the past are going to inspire the speakers of the future. We're gonna try to heal this world with a metaphorical suture. I said my name's Coyote, and I'm a war for peace. All senseless attacks I see must cease. But I won't be able to move this world all alone. So just remember that this is also your home. So if I put my voice with your voice, and we shout out together, people are gonna hear us. And things are gonna get better. Done it. All my relations. Peace. All my relations. Done it. Peace. All of my relations.
There somewhere. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I believe it is a constitutional desecration.
Hey, Dark Native, thank you for raiding with the massive party of 62. You love to see it. The channel's blown up. Can everyone go to twitch.tv/Dark Native and give Dark Native a follow